Welcome into episode 4 of the Through the Whistle podcast. I'm once again your host, Ty Belcher. And on today's episode, we'll be recapping the games from college football and NFL from this weekend, as well as talking about how we did on the betting side. And we'll also be talking about a little bit about tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Bears and the New England Patriots. So to start off, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite GOAT in the NFL, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is, for the first time in his career, 3-4. Well, first time since 2022. Well, since 2002 that he's been 3-4. In the last 3 games, where he's faced 3 teams, 3 games. Three teams that were against sub 500, who are now sub 500 opponents. 2 of which, the Steelers and the Panthers, were sub 500 when they played. And he has lost to all 3 opponents. Tom Brady has 2 touchdowns over the last 3 games. 2 touchdowns in 3 games as the GOAT. Okay, makes no sense. There's never an excuse for having only 2 touchdowns in 3 games. I don't care who you are. It's bare minimum. You can't get at least a touchdown a game. You got people like Jared Goff out there who is willing and dealing every once in a while. Geno Smith is out there cooking up the league. We'll talk more about Geno Smith later on. But Tom Brady can't score, can't move the ball down the field against a terrible Carolina Panthers team who has essentially waved the white flag for the season and said, we want to essentially tanking for CJ or Bryce, a team that only had 1 win going into yesterday's game, down to their 3rd string quarterback in PJ Walker. Shout out to PJ Walker, XFL GOAT, But you can't move the ball against the Panthers. You're leaving your defense on the field for way too long. So that's already a problem. The only thing that's looked good for the Buccaneers on the offensive side is Leonard Fournette. And aside from that, Tom's not getting the ball to the outside to receivers. You're essentially Julio Jones. Everybody already figured that he'll probably be hurt most of the season because it's Julio Jones. That's what he does, especially the last couple seasons. But you have no excuse to not be able to move the ball when you have guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on your team at receiver. So we're 7 games in for the Buccaneers, and only 8 touchdowns. Yeah, he only has 1 interception, but didn't look good against the Cowboys. Didn't look good against the Steelers. Didn't look good against the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't look good against the Carolina Panthers, who aren't good at all. DJ Moore, who was probably fingers crossed, hoping that he would get traded, who we find out or they're going to build around him, makes sense. You don't want a young quarterback coming in with no receiver talent. That's how you lose games. And then you have Brian Burns, who everybody was anticipating was going to get moved on from. It's also stuck in Carolina. You see them come out there and win. Not even just win on some fluke stuff, but go out there and dominate a team that was just in just in Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, just a division champ last season, and a team that most people thought would win the NFC. The NFC, in total, just looks bad right now. You got the 49ers, who just got baffled by the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 480 yards. Everybody was getting involved. Travis Kelce didn't even have 100 yards yesterday, and the Chiefs still beat the crap out of the 49ers. 49ers, Jimmy G showed why he needs to be benched. Trey Lance, you saw yesterday, the reasons why, what went into John Lynch's and Kyle Shanahan's mindset of, we need to move on from Jimmy G. We saw why yesterday. Jimmy G looked bad, couldn't move the ball. Ended up getting benched at the end, but I don't really count that because end of the game, don't get your guys hurt. But back to what I was saying about the NFC being wide open, you got the Bucs, who are now 3-4, but are still leading their division. It's weird. Still will get a home playoff game as of right now, technically. You got the 49ers were also, I think they're in second place right now, behind the Seattle Seahawks, who, like I said, we'll talk about a little bit later on, 49ers who are in second place would currently be out of the playoffs right now, I believe, due to the Cowboys and Giants having better records than them, obviously. I want to say that the Packers also have a better record than them, so they would essentially be out of the playoffs right now. And then you have another team in the Green Bay Packers, everybody thought was going to be good this year. Well, not everybody thought was going to be that good, but thought they'll be valuable because you have Aaron Rodgers, who's two-time MVP, and he can't move the ball. You lost to the Commanders. Aaron Rodgers lost to the Commanders. Tom Brady lost to the freaking Panthers. At least in the 49ers position, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the best or second best team in the AFC, depending on who you ask. NFC wide open. Rams look terrible. They have the weekend off. Hopefully they can get things together after the bye week. But NFC's wide open. Anybody can have it. Just up to who can get it together faster. All their defenses look pretty good. It's all about the offense finally getting the ball rolling. As of right now, if you were to ask me who's going to win the NFC in the playoffs, I would right now honestly say, even with the curse of the last undefeated that is in the NFL, last undefeated team hasn't made the Super Bowl since hasn't made the Super Bowl since the 2007 Patriots, and haven't won the Super Bowl since the 2006 Indianapolis Colts. So keep that fact in mind when y'all go to bet. Don't bet on the Eagles. The Eagles are going to lose. But I would say, as of right now, that the NFC East is the best division, as we saw. Commanders just won yesterday with Taylor Heineke. If Taylor Heineke can get a win over the Packers, anybody can. Anybody can. But I'm done. Everybody's just going to breeze over the Bucs and Tom Brady's performance, which doesn't make sense to me because everybody was just just talking down on Russell Wilson. But all the older quarterbacks, all the vets are out there playing trash right now. Matt Stafford's playing bad. Russell Wilson's playing bad. Tom Brady's playing bad. Aaron Rodgers is playing bad. I think it's time for to usher them out, and usher in this new wave of quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow. Not going to say Justin Herbert because Justin Herbert hasn't done anything yet in this league, but that's a story for another podcast whenever we do a top 10 quarterbacks list. But top creme de la creme of last year's teams look bad, all four of them, which are the Rams, Niners, Packers, Bucks. So anybody can win the NFC right now. It's all about who's going to get hot at the right time. Maybe wherever Odell signs, maybe they'll get the little nudge that they need and pick it up. But let's talk about the teams. We just talked about the teams that are underachieving. So enough about that. Let's talk about teams who are overachieving like crazy. Those teams being the Seattle Seahawks, New York Jets, and the New York Football Giants. The Giants, I thought, Dable, great hire. Great hire. I knew it was a great hire as soon as it happened, but I didn't think we had the team this year to actually make some noise or anything. So I thought, as a Giants fan of 15 years, I thought the Giants would go out there, probably put up like 4 or 5 wins, and get a quarterback in the draft because Daniel Jones doesn't have the best track record. Daniel Jones also is a turnover-prone quarterback, and Saquon Barkley couldn't get it going. So I was like, okay, the Giants are going to be about 5-12. They're not 5-12. They're not going to go 5-12 this year. They're not going to go 4-13, unless barring something crazy. The Giants have played really well, beat the Jaguars. Last week before that, played the Ravens, beat Lamar Jackson, the fourth quarter comeback. Week before that, beat the Packers in London. The Giants are for real. It's crazy to say out loud, but the Giants are a serious team. The Seattle Seahawks are a serious team. Just beat the Chargers, beat the Broncos earlier this season. They're a serious team. They can put up points. Geno Smith is looking like he can be a transitional piece. I would personally, as of right now, as of what I've seen so far, I would keep Geno Smith. I wouldn't force myself to get a quarterback next season. Well, in the upcoming draft, because Geno Smith has proven that he can win games. Our receiving core and Kenneth Walker in the backfield, anybody can win games with that, put up points. So personally, I would go O-line and a defensive player. You got the young guys on defense at corner. You got Kobe Bryant out there just looking great, clamping stuff up. Almost returned an interception out of the end zone, but I'm glad he didn't. Diggs kind of forced him back and take the touchback. But Seahawks, everybody thought would tank after Russell Wilson's trade, looking good. Falcons, kind of wishy-washy, they have their moments. They keep saying close games. I thought the game against the Bengals would be closer, but the Bengals were just the wide receiver core and all the expectations that everybody thought of the Bengals finally came to fruition this week. Bengals looked unstoppable. In the AFC North, that looks pretty bad right now, with a struggling Browns team, struggling Pittsburgh team, and a Ravens team that doesn't look like they actually want to win on a week-by-week basis. But the Bengals look hot. But we're not talking about the Bengals, we're talking about teams that are struggling. So teams such as the Seahawks, who we all thought would tank, Giants, who we thought were nowhere close to being good, and then the New York Jets, who have acquired all these picks, had a great draft this past April. They look good too. 5-2 for the first time in I don't know when. I think the last time this happened was back when Mark Sanchez used to have that team go to the AFC Championship every year. Excuse me. But the Jets, all those young picks look to have hit. D-line looks great. Sauce looks like he was worth the grade that he was given before last year's draft. This past season's draft. Lengthy receiver, cornerback, clamping up most of the receivers that he goes against. And, of course, they're playing against the Broncos, who aren't good, especially without Russell Wilson. But the Jets, no one thought the Jets would be good. Jets are now in second place in the AFC North, the AFC East, which is insane. Never would have thought that. Thought they would be in last place. Glad I didn't bet on that. But one game behind the Buffalo Bills for division lead. Giants, second place right now in the NFC East. Only one game behind the Eagles right now. And then you have the Seahawks, who are the NFC West leaders, if I'm not mistaken. Three teams who no one gave a chance are playing way better than expected. That's the beauty about football. It doesn't matter about if you're good on paper or all this other stuff. It's about who's going to be the best team on that particular Sunday when you're playing. So, no one knows how this is going to shake out, especially on the NFC side, especially at the bottom of the barrel. But then there's always the teams that love to let you down, and that team is the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns lost to the Ravens yesterday in a game that the Browns should have won. Jacoby Brissett turns the ball over again. He's turned the ball over a lot in these past couple weeks. Browns now dropped to 2-5 and are just hoping and hanging on for dear life that when Deshaun Watson gets back, they're at least in some type of position to hopefully make the playoffs. But I highly doubt that anything happens when he comes back, because you had to start him this year. You got to knock the rust off. He hasn't played since 2020. That was 2 years ago, two complete years ago. Not even 2 seasons, but 2 years, which is insane. So Deshaun comes back in a couple weeks. Hopefully, the Browns are hoping that he can be the little spark that they need. But as today, they're shopping around Kareem Hunt, shopping around Greedy Williams. They'll hopefully get some picks back from the Deshaun Watson trade. But we'll see how that plays out. I think Kareem Hunt probably ends up in Buffalo or out in LA, especially with LA having such a big push to try and get Christian McCaffrey, even though it was unsuccessful. So lastly, let's talk about somebody I did bet on. And that is the Indianapolis Colts to win the AFC South. Indianapolis Colts have just benched Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, who they just traded for after trading away Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan, who the Falcons traded away, who looked like they have won that trade for the second straight year. Last year, trading away Julio Jones, which everybody was like, what? Like, why would you trade away Julio? But Atlanta Falcons must have a magic 8 ball or something out there down in Atlanta. But Colts benched Matt Ryan because of a separated shoulder. But if I'm remembering correctly, they said this quarterback move is going to be made regardless, especially with the way Matt Ryan's played. So Sam Ehlinger, the pride of Texas, kind of helped bring that program back. Is going to be taking the reins for the rest of the season. So hopefully with Sam Ehlinger and Jonathan Taylor coming back, this team can make a push to make the playoffs. Because as of right now, the only two teams who are looking bad for my parlay for makes the playoffs are the Los Angeles Rams and the Indianapolis Colts, who should have ran away with this division, who probably would have run away with the division if they still had Carson Wentz. But it's a story for a different day. We'll talk about that after the season, how the Colts just keep moving around this quarterback carousel, kind of like the new Cleveland Browns. But we're going to hit a little short break. I'm going to talk about the college football games from this past weekend and talk about the shortcomings that I encountered betting on college football this weekend. Welcome back in from break through the Whistle Podcast. And let's get into the college football slate from this past weekend. Not a lot of big games as last week. Last weekend's games, such as the Bama and Tennessee game, Michigan Penn State games is last week. But there are still some good games and a lot of money lost, sadly. Not a lot of money, but money lost. First, let's start off on the good side. Ohio State dominated Iowa like I thought they would. Kind of started off slow. Made me happy that I did the over-under at 41.5, which was cheese, was cake. Ohio State covered that by themselves. So Ohio State goes out there and dominates. I would say, don't feed too much into that, but Iowa's still a good defense, still a team that can put out there, make anybody work hard and try and get some points up. But Jackson Smith coming back, best wide receiver in the nation right now. Him coming back, Marvin Harrison out there, Emeka Ibuka, and you get a guy like Julian Fleming out there doing his job, doing great, looking like the flashes of the guy who everybody expected him to be, being the number one receiver from a couple of years ago. So Ohio State goes out there and dominates, kind of puts the whole nation on notice. Because as of right now, I don't see how they don't. Well, as of right now, not even just me, even the playoff committee and the people who actually do the rankings, I don't care who you ask. No, everybody knows Ohio State doesn't control their own destiny to being the number one team in the nation. Sad. That's just like the sad reality of it all. Because if Georgia wins out, they're going to obviously be number one. If Tennessee runs the table, they're going to be the number one team. So it's like Ohio State's going to need some help, try to get the number one team in the nation. But as of right now, they played like the number one team in the nation, dominated teams like the number one team in the nation should. So going into this weekend against Penn State, I don't expect anything different. Michigan baffled Penn State last weekend with that run game. So I would expect the big game in the run game from Ohio State against Penn State. I'm very interested to see how guys like Jackson Smith and more than likely Marvin Harrison are going to be able to get open against a good corner in Joey Porter Jr., who's probably the number one cornerback in this upcoming draft. But it's going to be interesting to watch if anybody can stop the Ohio State team, going into November, the last weekend of November. Now, let's talk about a team who let me down, broke my heart, stomped on it, stomped on my parlay, stomped on our parlay if you bet it with us. And that's Clemson. Clemson won. Yeah, that's fine, dandy. Yeah, happy. Woo, go Clemson, go Tigers. But DJ Ugule failed us. He got benched in the third quarter with 144 yards. Insane. I know. Heartbroken. I know. I watched it on my phone while at the Kent State game. Hurt my heart. But the freshman comes in for Clemson, moves the ball very well, gets him the win against Syracuse in a very close game. That's closer than what the final score really was, because in my opinion, Syracuse did play like the better team. But you got to capitalize off turnovers. I want to say Clemson had three or four turnovers that game, but they're going to get points off of them. Turnovers don't really matter. And the sad thing about it is Syracuse, due to the way the ACC is, I think this is their last season having divisions, but Syracuse is essentially out of contention for the ACC championship game, barring some crazy stuff happening to Clemson, being 2 games behind. It's just going to be impossible for them to try and get back into not only the college football playoff contention, but the ACC title race. Like, there's no chance of them coming back, even though they are probably the second best team in the ACC. I think they're better than North Carolina. Probably, it's going to be interesting to see what they do against Wake Forest. I'm not sure if they're playing Wake Forest at home or not in their little dome. But Syracuse is a very good team, very deserving of the ranking that they had these past couple of weeks. You know, doing historic things for their team, well, for their school's history. And TCU also remained undefeated against a good Kansas State team. Kansas State team that lost Martinez pretty early in the game, which changed kind of the whole dynamic of it. Kansas State was up, I want to say 14. TCU charges another comeback for the second straight week and find a way to survive. But the thing is, I don't think that they're good enough to be in the college football playoff. But another thing is, I don't think they'll even make the playoffs. I think even with TCU being undefeated, I don't honestly see that they'll make the playoffs. I mean, barring them being undefeated, I don't see them making the playoffs. They're not good, in my opinion. Like, let's be honest. Let's just humor me for a second. If they were to play Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Clemson, Utah, or even Oregon, do you think that TCU could beat any of them on a neutral site? If you say yes, I would say go get a drug test because you're lying. Because TCU's not that good of a team. They're making all these big comebacks, but eventually, if you do that in the playoff against an actual good team, non-Big 12 team, you're not going to be able to come back from down 21, down 14. You're not going to be able to come back down 14 against a team like Ohio State who moves the ball at will. You're not going to be able to do that against a team like Tennessee who moves the ball whenever they want. A team like Alabama, maybe Alabama's, I don't know, they're kind of lackluster this year. A team like Michigan who, if you get the lead, Blake Corum's going to run the ball down your throat. Donovan Edwards is going to run the ball down your throat. So you're already going to lose a time of possession battle. So you're going to be playing from behind for essentially the whole game. And then you're going to be playing against a defense like Clemson. You're not going to move the ball against them either. They're going to move the ball against a team like Georgia. TCU, yeah, they're going to be deserving of it record-wise. But outside of on the field, what I've seen wise, TCU does not deserve to make the playoffs, but they will. But, making the playoffs is good for college football. New blood in the playoffs is always a good thing. Helps with parity, which has been a problem with college football lately. But in another Big 12 game, you saw Quinn Ewers suffer his first loss as a Texas Longhorn against Oklahoma State in a game where he threw 3 interceptions. 3 of them. All 3 of them hurt me to the core. But he did get 225 passing yards. So I was right. I told y'all. Look, player props, I got those. Easy. Money. Besides DJ, no one expected him to get benched. I didn't expect him to get benched. Thought he was going to get benched a month or 2 ago. But he started playing absolutely crazy. Earned his spot. But Quinn Ewers, too many turnovers, young guy. But it's his, I want to say like his 5th start. Only his 2nd real team he's played against. Well, 2nd or 3rd real team he's played against. He's a young guy. Can't believe you put it past him. It's okay. I'm not going to say it's okay, but like it's understandable. Texas is a team that's like a year or 2 away, in my opinion, probably a year away. Probably make the college football playoff next season, but don't put too much stock into this one loss by Quinn. He's probably going to get it together on the road, tough environment of Oklahoma State, especially at night. Well, under the lights, not going to say at night, but under the lights, hard environment to play in. Now in the Pac-12, there's a game I told you guys to bet on, and that was UCLA covering 12.5 against Oregon. It's Bo Nix. Don't trust Bo Nix. It's DTR for UCLA at quarterback. It's going to be fine. Zach Charbonnet at running back. Michigan, man. Came from Michigan when the UCLA started going crazy. Chip Kelly was a play caller, head coach. You're going to be fine. UCLA's going to win this easily, I promise. And they're giving us the points. It's going to happen. UCLA got ran out of Eugene, Oregon. Bo Nix is probably one of the best quarterbacks when he's not playing against a SEC team. Bo Nix was out there moving the ball whenever he wanted, scoring whenever he wanted, Oregon running the ball whenever they wanted. And UCLA defense was just looking baffled the whole time. Couldn't get off the field. At one point, Oregon's converted, I want to say, 3 fourth downs in 1 possession, which is insane. Anytime UCLA scored, Oregon will come back and make the lead bigger again. So when your team doesn't have any defense, you're going to lose, of course, obviously. But UCLA, due to not having divisions in the Pac-12, still have a chance. And with them having a chance, I guess you can say they can get back into the college football playoff run because they'll be playing a team like USC next week. Well, not this upcoming Saturday. I want to say Saturday after that. Play USC. You're more than likely going to play Oregon again, barring Oregon doing something crazy since there's no divisions. But a USC and Oregon win would put them in contention for the 4th spot in the playoff, like depending on what else happens across the nation going into that. But Oregon has looked great ever since they got ran out of I want to say they played in Georgia, in the Georgia Dome. Ever since they got ran out of the Georgia Dome by Georgia, they've looked phenomenal. Bo Nix looks good. Looks like the quarterback who Oregon needed for these past couple of years. And the defense looks pretty good, better than it did last year when they got just bullied by Utah twice in 3 weeks, which was insane. So, kind of looks like the Pac-12 is going to be interesting. Let's just keep it like that. I don't know if USC plays Oregon. Don't think they do. But if they do, it's going to be a good game. Don't think that USC will lose Oregon. But after the weekend we had betting on the college football, on the college football field, we're going to stay away from betting a lot of college football games. Even though I have some go-tos like my guy, Jaden Daniels down at LSU, getting 225 yards. Easy. Also, get into that a little bit. Ole Miss goes down, kind of hurts the SEC East. Well, SEC West? Yeah, SEC East or whatever side Alabama's on, but SEC East, well, whatever division that is, Ole Miss loses. Not surprised by that. LSU's on. Jackson Dart, not good. Wasn't good at USC. Don't know why anybody would expect anything different just because Lane Kiffin is his play caller. But it's the SEC. Kirby Smart said every SEC team is good. Playing in there is hard. But, SEC bias is going to happen regardless. So after break, last segment, we're going to talk about Monday Night Football, tonight's upcoming matchup between the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. The New England Patriots have a lot to play for tonight. Don't want to get too far behind in the division. So we'll get a little bit into that and a little bit of prop parlays between that and the NBA games on the night. So stay tuned, catch some bets, and get a little preview of tonight's game. Welcome back for the final segment of Through the Whistle, episode 4. Let's talk a little bit about tonight's nightcap. Week 7 finale between the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears opened up as 6.5-point underdogs going tonight, which makes sense because the Chicago Bears haven't really put anything much together this season aside from Justin Fields. And Bailey Zappe's going to be once again taking. If I'm not mistaken, Bailey Zappi will be starting again tonight for the New England Patriots. With that being said, I think the New England Patriots will win this game. Bill Belichick's record against first or second year quarterbacks is just insane. Winning record, I want to say they've only lost about 3 or 4 times to a first or second year quarterback. So don't see the Bears winning. Justin Fields still doesn't have enough help. Judon probably gets a sack or 2 tonight easily, especially against the Bears O-line, which isn't that good. But hopefully for the Bears, for a little bit of a bright spot for them, hopefully Mooney can get it going a little bit, trying to help out Justin. But if I were to place any bets tonight, I don't think I'll take any of them, honestly. Don't really feel comfortable betting on anything Bears or New England related. Both teams are too wishy-washy, too wonky to, feel comfortable putting money on. But what I do feel comfortable putting money on is the NBA, and that's being prop bets and one little spread in there. So on the NBA hardwood, we have a good record right now, 2-0 in parlays. Said on this podcast, 2-0 would be up we wouldn't be up 1,300 right now because 2 losses this past weekend in the NFL. But 2-2 when it comes to parlays overall, 2-0 when it comes to basketball specific parlays. And tonight, let's make it number 3-0. So the 76ers are 0-3. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound good. Stay with me now. So the Sixers are 0-3, and tonight they play the Indiana Pacers. I think they right the ship. Don't see a James Harden, Joel Embiid team going 0-4 because it won't happen. So let's get into this bet. Joel Embiid, 25-plus points against the 25-plus points is going to be easy. Pacers aren't that good. Don't really have a big who can bang down low with Joel Embiid. I don't think there's there's probably 1 or 2 bigs who can probably bang with Embiid down low. Pacers don't have one of those guys. So knowing that, let's keep this in mind. So this is a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-leg parlay at plus 430 odds, okay? So put 100 down, win $430 back. I have Embiid 25-plus points, Embiid 10-plus rebounds, 76ers alternate spread at minus 4.5, Ja Morant 25-plus points against the Nets, Jason Tatum 25-plus points against the Chicago Bulls, Nikolai Jokic 20-plus points, and Damian Lillard 20-plus points. So those 7 combined will put you at plus 430 on the odd side, and I think I'm 95% sure that these are all locks. Don't see the 76ers having a close game with the Pacers. Don't see Ja Morant being held under 25 points against a Brooklyn team. Even if Ben Simmons tries to guard him, doubt that. that stops Ja. Ja's going to get his regardless. Looks like he's back in that MVP bag that he won it last year before he got hurt. Jason Tatum playing against a Bulls team that doesn't really have any crazy defenders. If you're telling me Alex Caruso is going to go out there and stop Jason Tatum from scoring 25 points, I'm going to call you a liar, and you need some help. And the Nuggets are playing the Portland Trailblazers, Dame and the Trailblazers versus the Trailblazers. We've seen it in the playoffs a couple times. Dame, 20 points is easy. It's a given. It's Damian Lillard. He's an NBA top 75 guy all time, allegedly. Don't think he's a top 75 player of all time, but that's a story for a different day. But Jokic, two-time MVP, reigning MVP, they're both going to get 20 easily. Like, who on the Trailblazers is going to stop Jokic from getting 20 points? Who on the Nuggets is going to stop Damian Lillard from getting 20 points? Only person who can stop Damian Lillard from getting 20 points is Damian Lillard. So, that being said, 7 legs, $430 in your pocket tonight. Easy. So, bet at your own risk, as always, gamble responsibly. That's my little PA announcement. But, with all that being said, today's episode 4, is coming to an end. You guys stay tuned for episode 5 coming up on Thursday. Thank you for your time, and go outside. Enjoy the nice weather we have up here in Ohio for right now, and the last little stint we have before winter. Everybody have a safe day. Be blessed.